Hi, and welcome to Coffee and Calacas. I'm your host, Joe. If you're new to this podcast, I want to welcome you and just let you know that this is a weekly podcast where we sit around the coffee table, wherein we discuss stories of the supernatural, mysticism, and what else lies in the beyond. If this is something that interests you, then I hope you follow us on all our social media accounts. Go ahead and go to galacaspod.com, and we have linked to all of our social media accounts there. We have a Facebook, an Instagram, a Spotify, a YouTube, of course, and we even have a Patreon. So if you're interested, go ahead and like and subscribe and support this channel. And I hope you enjoy this show. Thank you. Okay, so this won't be a very long episode. Um, Honestly, I mean it's a good episode, but not very long. Something just to start off the month. Um, Happy February to everyone. And I'm gonna set up something. I know I keep saying this, but this time it is true. I'm gonna set up a little calendar of sorts on Instagram. So if you're following us there, go ahead and check that out. I'm gonna try to post it, you know, preferably within a couple of days. Um, it's gonna have sort of I mean, I don't want to say it's a preview, and I really don't want to give away the topic of each episode, but yeah, it's going to give away the topic of each episode. Um, Nonetheless, I hope that you stick around for this episode, and maybe by doing that, you can, you can plan for it. I don't know. So I have kind of a theme going on, um, for the month of February because it's all about love. A lot of the color red, it sticks out a lot. I was thinking something kind of, kind of bloody, kind of gory, but not being too bloody and too gory because, um, gotta take, gotta go easy on that. But, it's gonna be interesting. Okay, nonetheless, it's gonna be a very interesting month. And I really hope the content for this month, um, you know, everyone likes. If you don't like it, just, send me a message, comment or something and just let me know. I'm always interested in feedback. Um I mean anything I can do to make these episodes better. I mean, I'll try anything, right? So let's get into this week's episode. Um this topic this week. Um I'm going to try my best not to butcher it. I asked Google like maybe about 10 times, how do you pronounce this? And I know that as much as I've heard it pronounced, um, it doesn't stick with me. It's, some words just don't register in my brain long enough to, resonate, and this is one of them. The topic this week is called oh my gosh, I can pronounce this. Koshei. Koshi? Koshei? We're gonna say Koshei. Yeah. So Koshei is known as Koshchei the Deathless. It is a Russian legend of immortality. And you're probably thinking, well, what? So I know that I like to talk about stuff that relates to Hispanic culture, mostly, or stuff that relates to the city of Brownsville or the Rio Grande Valley. But this kind of stood out to me. I don't know. I mean, I haven't really heard of a legend like this within the Hispanic culture, and I guess maybe that's why it stood out to me. So this legend is of this. I mean, would you say it's a wizard, a warlock of sorts? Um, Let me pull up my notes real quick. So Koshei, was also known as the Immortal or the Deathless. Okay, so like I said, it comes from Russia. So if you're Russian or know how to speak Russian, let me know how do you pronounce this. Um, I mean, I'm pretty sure in Russian, I mean, because I'm reading it off the English version here, but I know in Russian it is spelled differently. Um, but nonetheless, the story translates beautifully. Um, Either way. So Gaucher is or was sort of a I guess you could say like a warlock of sorts, evil person. And I don't know if anyone here is a fan of Game of Thrones, but if you are, then you know the Whites, okay? The White Walkers. And there is one, I think he's one of the main guys, and he's on one of the horses, Um, if you don't know Game of Thrones, I'm sorry for spoiling this for you. Um, Go watch it, please. Trust me. Maybe not the last season, but you still have to watch the last season. It comes full circle, sort of. That last episode though, man, that was mm, not my favorite, but you know what? I'm a fan, so I'm gonna take it and just go with it, right? Well, anyway, um, so in the images I saw of this Koshi, we're gonna say Koshi. Um, he has a look of like kind of like a White Walker, just very gaunt, bony, even. You know, really wasn't much to him. And according to what I read, it's because he was immortal. That like I guess his own body just deteriorated as time went on. But certain things or certain spells would kind of revive him somewhat, and he'd become you know full person again, right? He'd have the health back. And it's like when you're playing a video game and you know they hit you with something, and then you eat the magic mushroom, and then boom, you're back to how you were before. And that's kind of what would happen with him. So the reason Goshi was who he was, known as the Immortal, the Deathless, and the reason was that because he chose not to die. He himself used a spell to keep himself from dying. From what I understood, he put his soul inside a pin that was inside an egg that was inside a duck that was inside a rabbit that was inside, I don't know what else, like inside a box, I believe. And that box was buried in an enchanted island that you could only see at a certain time of the day. I don't know, something along those lines. Okay, very detailed. Okay, so basically, his soul was inside an egg, hidden away from everyone, and he did that because he wanted to live forever. So Goshi was just an evil person, and would go after people, kill everyone that disagreed with him, took whatever he wanted. Honestly, um, he if he found a woman he coveted, he would go after her, take her. And because he was so powerful, he was a powerful sorcerer. Um, he was able to overcome all his I mean his foes, his enemies. I mean, I don't know. I feel like when you say the word enemies, you're you know, the victim here, but he wasn't the victim. He was just a total ass. Um, it's written in Russian, folklore, and I find it interesting that this is what they tell kids in Russia at night to go to sleep. Oh, let me tell you a story, about the about Koshchei the Deathless, and how he raped and killed women, and live forever. And I know that in one story, he actually does die. The story goes that he takes the woman, a princess who was married to this prince. The prince goes after her, I think with like his two brothers, something like that. And upon going after him, the first brother comes. Um, they attack him, or they're trying to find him. They can't find him. The second brother comes back, and same thing. Third brother is the one that succeeds, and he finds Koshi's soul, breaks the egg on top of Koshi's head, which is one of the ways to kill him. Breaking the egg on top of his head, and then I mean, he's invincible. Like he's not invincible anymore. You know, um, he's just like everyone else. You know, um, I am lost for words here. Sorry about that. Yeah, no, he basically becomes, just human again. Um, he's open to attack, and it's his soul being protected that keeps him from dying, but the moment his soul is back in his body, he's open for attack, and yeah, that's what happened. He ends up dying in that story. Now, Koshchei is seen as a Slavic god. Oh my gosh, Slavic god of death, and which I find kind of interesting too. Yeah, when you think of death, it's an invincible force. Not something that you know vulnerable. That's the word I was looking for. My gosh, I'm tired, guys. It's just what it is. I'm just tired. My brain thinks that it's like in two different wavelengths. One side's like going really fast, the other side's just like, just going so slow. So yeah, sorry if I just randomly shout out random words here and there. But yeah, so he's vulnerable, once he finds his soul. But anyways, and yeah, it kind of goes with this. So when you think of death, death isn't vulnerable. Um, but here he is, you know, the moment he has his soul back, he is a vulnerable individual. And like I said, he's just you like you and me. He can be harmed, he can be killed, and that's what happens to him. So what can I say? Now I like I said, if you have seen uh um Game of Thrones, then yeah, you can it kind of goes with that. I don't know. As I was like reading this about this legend, I kept getting like this Game of Thrones vibe to it. This the White Walkers were pretty much um uh invincible. They weren't easily harmed. You really had to like I mean, they could kill you, that's for sure. They could kill you, but you really couldn't kill them unless you had the dragon's blood. Oh my gosh, is that what it's called? Dragon's blood? That black the obsidian, the Valyrian sword. You had to have certain tools that weren't easily found in order to actually kill a White Walker. Um it was very hard to kill them, because they were already dead, and that's kind of what Koshi is. He's someone who's already dead, but still alive because his soul is protected, you know. So without his soul dying too, then he can just keep coming back, and that's kind of what he does. He just keeps coming back, and you know, time flies by, yet he doesn't die. And they you know it's often seen, this legend, it's just, I mean, yes, it's something to entertain kids, but if you really like, inspect it, there's more to it. um so okay, common sense would say, okay, Goshi's an imaginary creature. It's supposed to represent death and something evil, but they do believe, historians do believe, that this individual was based off this, I'm not sure if he was an admiral of sorts, but he was a, um I have it written down here. He was named as Khan Korchak. He was a Polvostian leader. So they say that he might be based off of him. Um and I try, finding out why, right? So, they say that this Povosian leader named Khan Korchak, he was from the 12th century. His presence was last recorded in the early 13th century in Kiev. Korchak has lived for more than 100 years at the time, encompassing more than 6 generations. His longevity was most likely the reason for Koschei's, um, you know, deathless or immortal. And I think back, at that time, living beyond the age of like 40, 50 was kind of unheard of. People had early deaths, you know. Um no, I guess no one really lived beyond that age, going 60, 80, you're ancient, man. Like you've seen things. And I mean, now we have more people, it's more commonplace to have someone who lives up to 100 and beyond. I mean, look at Betty White, 99. She was just days away from her 100th birthday. I think Koshi was upset and he was like, "Oh, hell no." If I can't live to, be 101, then you can't live to be 100. So he came after her. Yeah. Betty White, if you're listening to this podcast, which I know you are, girl, um, thanks and love your work and miss you here. But yeah, so honestly, that's kind of where this I guess this folklore, this legend um gained wings from, It's like, okay, well, here's this individual who's lived for so long. He's immortal. I mean, wow, he's lived beyond mom, dad, grandma, Aunt Susie, and it's like, whoa. And eventually he does die, and again, Goshi in some stories eventually does die. And all because someone finds his soul and, makes him vulnerable again and they kill him. So going back to Khan, besides his insanely long life, you may wonder, how did the Eastern Slavs pick this Turkish leader to create an immortal evil death bringing character to life, right? I mean, if you weren't, well, now you're gonna find out. Okay, sorry, it's part of my notes here. Um, so Goshi's relationship with the Christian Eastern Slavs were quite nuanced and complex. Um, he once rescued the Russian prince Igor from captivity, and his daughter later married Igor's son, and he was also pagan. Okay. Hence, a plausible assumption is that Christian Slavs demonized a pagan leader and portrayed him as a stereotypical villain. So Khan is now questioned because, okay, so he meets his princess, marries her, um, but because he wasn't Christian, they're like, "You're evil, man." You are into some stuff that we're not into, and which is something that's always happened. Like I mentioned back in the Salem witch trials episode, if you slightly differed from what was typical religious views then you were a witch. And that's kind of what's happened with this man. He was just slightly different than everyone else, didn't practice like everyone else does, you know, then okay, you're evil. You're good for nothing, You're just a villain. And so they made him out to be a villain, and they tell stories about him, and because, why else y- they didn't celebrate, you know, um differences back then. Not that differences are celebrated much more now, right? But people are more open-minded to understanding, okay, well, we're different religions, we practice different things. You're spiritual, I'm more religious. Okay, well, we all different do different things, right? So you're less likely to villainize someone for, you have someone who's Christian, but then you have someone right here who's Wiccan. You're less like to villainize them. It happens still, um, but you're not going to go and write a story about, Sharon right here who's Wiccan. You know, it's not as likely. I mean, I've seen some stuff. I know I got a letter in the mail the other day from from the Jehovah's Witnesses, and if you're a Jehovah, I don't want to offend you. I'm sorry, but I just find it funny. I mean, I have with what I do for my job, I have met some Jehovah's Witnesses, and I've told them, yeah, I'm a practicing Catholic. Not sure exactly how I practice, but I mean, I'm I'm baptized and all that. Um, but it's this idea, oh, you have to be in my religion in order to, like, I guess, be good with the Lord. That's a little excessive. So yeah, you might I got, like I said, I got a letter from a Jehovah's Witness the other day. Um and it basically said, um don't let these times of darkness and uncertainty lead me down the dark path, and instead, to contact them, and I would be invited to their church service, and a little bit more than that, and had some links in there that were included. I know, links in the letter, and they don't come to your door anymore now, they just send you letters. And yeah, so I read the letter. Um I was not interested, so I didn't follow much more with it. But yeah, you might have someone who feels, okay, well, you don't practice the way I do, so yeah, you're wrong. And that's I guess that kind of goes back to this, oh, this you're pagan, we're Christianity, you're evil. You have some people who really take it to an extreme. Other people just don't really care anymore. Um, they're not gonna go and like I said, they're not gonna go and villainize you, but you have some people who will. And that's something that, I found very interesting, just how, you have someone who or how this story came about. It wasn't just something that someone came up one day because they were high on like opium, but because they found someone who was just evil just for practicing differently than they did. Um, so the root of Koshchei's name is the word kost, meaning bone. The term Koschei and its variations across all Slavic languages can also mean camp, military officer, captive, or slave. While in Turkic languages, it means wanderer. So I guess it's maybe someone who's a lost soul, and that's why it kind of relates to death because death is like the bringer of the souls. You know, so that's kind of how it comes about, and you wonder, well, wow, history really takes its place here. That's kind of all what I've had today. If you like this episode, go ahead and comment down below, like and subscribe. Let me know what you think. Like I said, follow us on social media. We have galacaspod.com to link with all our social media. And remember, life begins after coffee. Thank you.